bone-crushing force stood guard over her adopted family, her massive form a shield against the relentless assault. The raptors, their initial attack thwarted, regrouped, circling Dole, their movements wary now, respectful of the raw power she possessed, yet unwilling to relinquish their intended prey. They darted in and out, their claws raking at her flanks, their teeth snapping at her legs, seeking an opening, a moment of weakness they could exploit. Dasa, his heart pounding in his chest, knew that he couldn't stand by and watch as Dole fought their battle for them. He had to do something, anything, to even the odds, to give Dole a fighting chance. He grabbed his spear, his grip tightening on the smooth wood, his gaze darting between the raptors, searching for an opportunity to strike. One of the raptors, emboldened by its success in drawing blood from Dole's flank, lunged again, its jaws wide open, its eyes gleaming with predatory hunger. Dole, distracted by the second raptor that harried her from behind, didn't see the attack coming. Dasa, his instincts taking over, reacted on pure adrenaline. The seasons shifted, the jungle's palette transforming from lush emerald green to fiery hues of orange, gold, and crimson. The air, once heavy with the scent of blooming orchids and damp earth, grew drier, carrying the whispers of distant storms and the promise of cooler days. Dasa, Maya, and their children, now walking with the confidence of seasoned nomads, continued their journey, their bond strengthened by shared dangers and the unwavering protection of their reptilian guardian. Dole, her massive form casting a long shadow across the sun-dappled forest floor, seemed more subdued, her movements less agile, her thunderous roars replaced by low rumbles that resonated deep within the chests of those who walked beside her. Dasa, attuned to the subtle changes in her behavior, sensed that something was different, a shift in her demeanor that spoke of a primal instinct taking hold. He had noticed her increased appetite, the way she lingered near clearings where the sun warmed the earth, her massive body shielding them from the cooling winds that heralded the approach of the dry season. He had seen the way she gently nudged the children with her snout, her amber eyes, usually fierce and alert, softening with an emotion he couldn't quite place. One evening, as the sun began its descent, casting long dancing shadows through the trees, Dole stopped abruptly, her massive body trembling slightly. She let out a low whine, a sound so uncharacteristic of the normally stoic creature that it sent a shiver down Dasa's spine. He exchanged a worried glance with Maya, who held their youngest child close, her eyes wide with concern. Dole lumbered towards a cluster of giant ferns, their fronds rustling softly in the breeze, and began to clear the ground with her massive legs, creating a shallow depression in the soft earth. Dasa, his curiosity piqued, cautiously approached, his hand resting on the bone handle of his knife, ready for any danger that might arise. As he drew closer, he noticed two large oval-shaped objects lying on the ground beside Dole. They were eggs, their shells mottled shades of brown and green, their surface warm to the touch. Dole, her massive head resting on the ground, her eyes closed, seemed oblivious to their presence, her body racked by tremors that shook the ground beneath her. Dasa, his heart pounding in his chest, realized what was happening. Dole was laying eggs. The miracle of life unfolding before their eyes filled them with a mixture of awe and apprehension. Dasa had heard tales of dinosaurs laying eggs, tales passed down through generations of his people, tales that spoke of new life emerging from the earth itself, a testament to the enduring power of nature. But he had never witnessed such a thing firsthand, had never imagined that he would be present for such a primal, awe-inspiring event. For days they watched over Dole as she tended to her nest, her massive body, a protective barrier against any predator foolish enough to venture too close. The children, their initial fear replaced by fascination, would sit quietly nearby, their eyes wide with wonder as they observed the subtle changes in the eggs, the way they seemed to tremble slightly as if pulsing with the life growing within. Then one morning, as the first rays of dawn pierced through the dense canopy, one of the eggs cracked open, revealing a tiny Tyrannosaurus rex, its eyes still closed, its body wet and shaking, its miniature claws scrabbling at the remnants of its shell. Dole, alerted by the sound, lowered her massive head, her tongue gently nudging the hatchling, her low rumble, a sound of pure maternal love. A second egg hatched soon after, revealing another miniature replica of its mother, its cries echoing through the stillness of the jungle, a symphony of new life that filled them with hope. The joy that had filled their small clearing, a fragile bubble in the heart of the prehistoric world, was shattered by a silence so profound, so at odds with the miracle they had just witnessed, that it seemed to suck the very air from their lungs. Dole, her massive body trembling with a mother's exhaustion, nudged the remaining egg with her snout, her low rumble a questioning sound that echoed their own unspoken fears. The two hatchlings, oblivious to the tension that had gripped their human companions, stumbled around their mother's massive legs, their tiny claws scrabbling at the rough scales, their high-pitched squeaks a stark contrast to the silence that emanated from the unhatched egg. Dasa and Maya, their gazes locked on the final egg, held their breath, their hearts pounding in their chests, hoping against hope for a miracle. But the egg, once so full of promise, remained stubbornly silent, its mottled shell cold and lifeless beneath the warmth of the sun's rays. Dole, her instincts telling her what her mind refused to accept, let out a mournful roar, a sound that seemed to rip through the very fabric of the jungle, a sound that spoke of a grief so profound, so primal that it resonated deep within the souls of those who heard it. Maya, her own heart aching with a mother's empathy, couldn't bear to watch Dole's heart break. She knew instinctively that she had to do something, anything, to ease the pain that radiated from the grieving creature. She approached cautiously, her movements slow and deliberate, her gaze fixed on Dole's amber eyes, those ancient windows to a soul more complex than they could have ever imagined. As she drew closer, she saw a flicker of understanding in Dole's eyes, a recognition of the shared bond of motherhood that transcended the boundaries of species. Dole lowered her massive head slightly, allowing Maya access to the nest, her low rumble a sound of acquiescence, of trust in the human who had shared her journey, her dangers, her triumphs. Maya reached out a hand, her fingers gently tracing the intricate patterns on the unhatched egg's shell. It was cold beneath her touch. The life that had once pulsed within, now seemingly extinguished, leaving behind a hollow shell, a stark reminder of the fragility of existence in this prehistoric world. And then, a miracle, beneath her touch, a warmth spread, a faint tremor, a heartbeat, faint but undeniable. The egg, as if awakened from a deep slumber, shifted slightly, a tiny crack appearing on its surface, a sliver of light piercing the darkness within. Dole, sensing the change, let out a soft rumble, a sound that was both questioning and hopeful, a sound that spoke of a mother's love that refused to be denied. The crack widened, revealing a glimpse of movement, a tiny claw, a flash of scales, and then with a final push, the egg shattered, revealing a third hatchling, smaller than its siblings, weaker, its scales duller, its movements hesitant, but it was alive. Dole lowered her massive head, her tongue gently cleaning the hatchling, her low rumble, a symphony of relief, of joy, of a mother's love that knew no bounds. The two older hatchlings, sensing a new presence in their nest, approached cautiously, their tiny heads bobbing with curiosity, their squeaks a welcoming chorus to their newest sibling. Dasa and Maya, their hearts overflowing with emotion, watched as Dole tended to her offspring, their own children clinging to their legs, their eyes wide with wonder and excitement. They had witnessed a miracle, a testament to the enduring power of life, a reminder that even in the harshest of environments, hope could bloom in the most unexpected of places. As the sun rose higher in the sky, painting the jungle in hues of gold and emerald green, they knew that their journey was far from over. Danger still lurked in the shadows. Challenges awaited them at every turn, but they faced the unknown with a renewed sense of hope, their hearts filled with the knowledge that they were not alone. They had each other, they had Dole, and they had the promise of a new generation, a legacy that would endure long after their own footprints had faded from the sands of time.